Welcome back. Some shop outlets have been exploiting a loophole to use CDC and SG60 vouchers. Even though they're not on the scheme, it is fueling growing frustration among merchants who say that the way decisions are made on who gets in and who doesn't just doesn't add up. And this sense of unfairness runs deeper with those left out and losing business to competitors who can take the vouchers. Claudia Lim joins us now to unpack this issue. Claudia, welcome to the studio. Good to have you here with us. So first of all, what made you want to investigate this story?
Yeah, so maybe just some background. There are some broad rules. So only CDC-approved merchants can accept SG60 or CDC vouchers. And these are typically merchants in the heartlands or also in the hawkers. So when I received my SG60 vouchers, I was actually researching on where I could spend them. And as I was talking to some of the neighborhood uncles and aunties, they tell me that not every merchant accepts CDC vouchers. And this has caused some frustration on the ground. And also, as a consumer myself, I was confused. So I decided to dig a little deeper. I went to about 10 different places, and what I found was inconsistencies in the rules. And this could mean a lot to merchants because those merchants who are not on the scheme, they could be losing out billions of dollars that the government is injecting into our neighborhood stores. So let's take a look at what I found. The first stop in my investigation takes me to Senja Hawker Centre. You would expect that CDC or SG60 vouchers to be accepted here, right in the heartlands. But not at this florist, here for 3 years. The owners appealed to be a CDC merchant, rejected via a phone call, and the reason was, quote, the shop is a kiosk and not a typical stall. To test if this reason holds water, I headed a few kilometers away with my crew to another heartland location in Fajar. Here, I found a clothes shop also in a kiosk where you can redeem the vouchers. So same setup, different outcome. Here, the HDB-owned Heartland Mall has similar kiosks that accepts these vouchers, and vendors say it's particularly useful and popular among the elderly in the community. My next stop, Jalan Besar. Walking around the many street-side stores, I uncover another discrepancy. Shophouse owners here say they were rejected as CDC merchants because, quote, they are privately owned and are not in the heartlands. A frustrating reason for them since HDB blocks are just about 100 meters away. But what's puzzling, in Bukit Timah, where there's no public housing, these privately owned shophouses are part of the scheme. So it seems there is some leeway given, even outside the heartlands. And because of that, mom-and-pop stalls in the next-door mall now also want to be part of the scheme. Some have lost up to 40% in business with the increased competition from CDC merchants.
I hope they are not too strict. They really must help small business company, not even heartland. Yeah, so because this mall is more for neighborhood, for them to buy things, and if they can't use and we can't help them, they will not support us.
Ms. Cox's appeal in March fell through. The reason? The stall was not on HDB-owned premises or in a hawker centre. So what exactly counts as a heartland area? That's the question from merchants in this repurposed primary school, right in the middle of a housing estate, yet still left out.
之前我们有问过，他们讲这个是私人的地方，不可以申请这 CDC 咯。那些安弟阿姐都来啊，讲哎呦，都不可以申请。我讲真的没办法申请几次了，都 reject。So 我讲我会再尝试啦。
It's the same story at this privately owned industrial estate in Ubi, just across the street from public housing blocks.
What's the point of having so many of the SG60 vouchers when you can't use them really at any place? Because a lot of our customers actually come from the HDB sites as well, not only the workers here.
Ms. Koh has been rejected around 3 times via phone calls. For now, only JTC-owned industrial canteens are allowed in the scheme.
So as we can see there, Claudia, there is inconsistency in the scheme, as you mentioned earlier. But let's take a step back. How does one actually become a CDC merchant?
So for most eligible business, I understand CDC usually approaches them. The onboarding process takes about a day, but of course this is voluntary. You know, most merchants, they want to be on the scheme, but there are also some of them who don't want to, and that's because maybe they find it a hassle during busy periods, or older businesses, they are not so fond of digital payments. So that's the thing, you know, not every eligible shop is being approached by CDC. Some of them, they don't even know that they are an eligible merchant until they see their neighbors being on the scheme. And if they don't find out, you know, they might be left behind. But then this begs a bigger question, which is, where exactly is the heartlands? Is it just where housing areas are? And also, how far does this stretch out to?
So there is a lot of confusion on the ground here. Have there been success stories or positive takeaways from merchants who have actually figured things out?
Fortunately, yes. So recently, 25 merchants in Katong, they actually came together and appealed to be a CDC merchant, and they actually got it. So let's take a look at how they managed to do it. When the CDC voucher scheme was rolled out, Mr. Edmund Wong didn't think much about being left out. After all, his kueh shop is neither a hawker stall nor a heartland HDB shop. But over time, he noticed the scheme being extended to other shops not in these categories. So he filed an appeal but was rejected. Things changed when he became chair of the Katong Joo Chiat Business Association.
A lot of our merchants here are faced with similar problems, and I thought to myself, why not let's have a collective through the association submit an appeal with proper reasoning to relevant authorities to see whether or not we could get support.
Months ago, Mr. Wong invited interested merchants to fill in an online form he created. Their justification was that the vouchers would ease cost pressures on local businesses. But rallying support wasn't easy.
We are very limited by our boundaries and with very limited time as well. We want to just want to get this through as soon as we can while it is still fresh in our minds. So we covered the entire stretch of Joo Chiat Road. Unfortunately, people who are not in our zone, we had to remove their names as well.
Their persistence paid off. In August, all 25 sign-ups were approved as CDC merchants. Among them, a record store and also a motorcycle lifestyle store. And footfall has picked up.
Don't want to depend on it as a crutch, but I think it's very useful for the merchants all over to have a chance, right, to serve some of these customers that otherwise wouldn't have come. And hopefully we do enough of a job where people will enjoy it and just keep coming back, right? So it's a stimulus, and that's how it should be.
The association is now planning another round of appeals, this time for the remaining mom-and-pop shops. Now, the Katong victory shows that change actually can happen, and that's the legal way to actually use it. But, you know, some merchants, they've been found to be milking a loophole. And take, for example, you know, these small shopping centre in Bugis, both are nail parlours. They say they accept CDC vouchers, but if you check the CDC website, these outlets, they actually aren't on the merchant list. Instead, it's their other outlet in the heartlands that's approved, and somehow they're still able to process the transaction here. So not many people realize that each outlet must actually apply individually to be a CDC merchant. But in cases like these shops, they are actually piggybacking on their heartland outlet to be transacting these sales. And this loophole isn't exactly only in Bugis. So in fact, I also went down to Industrial Canteen in Ubi. The store owner, they actually written it out on a piece of paper, and these are some telltale signs that these merchants, they are not approved. And to be fair, you know, most customers, they actually don't mind, but for shops that they can't use the voucher, it feels unfair. So some of them have even complained, and I've been told that CDC will send staff down to engage.
For those who might not follow the guidelines, Claudia, what are the potential consequences for these merchants?
So when I asked CDC if enforcement is done, CDC told me that merchants have to agree to a set of terms and conditions. And what these terms and conditions spell out is that they are not allowed to accept CDC vouchers outside the approved locations. And if they find that any of these merchants, they are flouting the rules, actions could include reminders, warnings, when necessary, delisting these merchants as well. And on top of that, CDC also adds that it will continue to work closely with associations to onboard more eligible merchants, and generally the vouchers cannot be used for vices.
So overall, how useful or helpful are these CDC vouchers and SG60 vouchers really for merchants? Are they making a real difference at all?
Now, shops that accept CDC vouchers, they can also accept SG60 vouchers. And of course, you know that this year, Singaporeans aged 21 and above, they are getting at least $600. For residents, this could be a big help to manage the cost of living, but also for businesses, this could be crucial because this means that they could, keep their jobs or keep their businesses open. Now, let's take a look at how this has helped some businesses.
Since the SG60 vouchers were released, it's been non-stop action for Anna's Sourdough, tucked in a corner of Oasis Terrace in Punggol.
We were not prepared for the customers that came through the doors. We definitely saw an increase in uptick of sales during the July and August period since it's been launched to the tune of like 20% uptick in terms of our daily takings.
The cafe has been a CDC merchant since December 2023. Back then, most vouchers were split among families and spent on essentials. This time, the SG60 vouchers drew younger Singaporeans, bringing new spending and heavier footfall. Business was so good she had to staff 2 additional full-timers each weekend. It's a similar story at this mobile phone shop in Sengkang.
We actually see a quite significant increase in our revenue. For last year, July, and this year, July, we can see about a 40% increment. We actually see some families, they actually combine it, because individually they have 600, right? So some of them, like the whole family, they will gather together and then buy a higher value item, like an iPhone that costs about $2,000.
Mr. Goy didn't just grow his team across 7 outlets. Some days, he even jumps in himself to keep up. Restocking used to be once a week. Now it's every 2 days. And to pull in even more customers using their CDC or SG60 vouchers, his store is lining up fresh discounts.
The government has said that these vouchers, they are only a temporary support measure and not a long-term solution. But actually right now, with more CDC vouchers coming up and also our SG60 vouchers only expire at the end of next year, that's billions of dollars actually being pumped into our neighborhood stores. So for small businesses, this really means a lot. So really the best thing we can do as consumers actually is to go out there and spend our CDC vouchers.
That's right. Support our local and small businesses. You said it right, Claudia. Thank you so much for shedding light on this story. CNA's Claudia Lim there with a comprehensive report.